Are you on? Good. Right, welcome to DIY Flight Simulator, where you have all your flight simulator needs except from anything that you'd actually want in life. What this channel is going to be doing at the start is we're going to be building a proper home DIY flight simulator. We're going to build it loosely on a 737. We're going to use a force feedback joystick from Moser because I prefer force feedback joystick. It allows you to eat and have a tray in front of you. So, we've got a 50-inch TV, or a 55-inch TV, I can't remember what it was. It was an LG one, OLED. And we've got two studio monitors to make it sound absolutely perfect. We've also got half a false floor because I wanted to kind of half make it before I'd actually show you it. So we're going to make the rest of this false floor. We're going to then put a top sheet on it, and we've got a car seat to go on top of that. And we're going to get our rough measurements of where we're going to have everything else. We've also got some aluminium extrusions as well, so we're going to have them laid out so we can move the joystick around and have a central position joystick or a side position joystick. And we're waiting for the wing control force feedback rudder pedals, which I've been waiting for a long time to get my hands on some force feedback rudder pedals with a force feedback joystick, and we'll have some force feedback rudder pedals. That means we're feeling all the force, and it's not even May the 4th. Stay tuned and you can see the build process. Can we do it for cheap? Because we like cheap. Right, as you can see, the floor is done. So obviously this is a false floor, it's going to have all the wires. It's mainly because there's a glass bottom to the TV mount, so it's raising up over that. And then we're going to have a 18mm bit of plywood that goes over the top. And then we can mount the seat base. Once the seat base is then mounted, well, we'll have to work out the positions of it. And then we can start building the sim up after that. But at least with this floor, once it's got some weight on, obviously, because the floor underneath it isn't exactly perfectly level, but once it's got some weight on it, this will then be very strong, robust, able to take any kind of weight that you want to throw at it, within obviously reason. But you could probably put a car on this if you wanted to. Not that I think that we could fit in a car in here. I'm kind of sceptical of whether or not we'll be able to fit the wood in here, but we'll try it now. Right, this is going to be good. Oh, I'm not flexible anymore. Definitely not flexible anymore. That's what we say, job's a good one. So now we've got, I don't know if that's the seat or the floor. I think it's the, oh, it's the seat. Right, it's good, that is sturdy. We've got some sturdy wood. I love a bit of wood. Good material wood. You know, easy to just cut a little piece off. Depending on what religion you are, obviously. Ooh la la, I have a jet, I have a jet. king of the castle, king of the castle. But seriously guys, now we've actually got a chair. And it's a good chair. And it's a Mazda chair. Not sponsored. So we've got a chair. It actually came on some transit bases. So 4 transit bases. Adds the height. We might have to actually raise it up a little bit more, because if you look at something like a 737, it's a little bit taller than this chair, but we've got a chair. And as you can see, we've just been cutting them bits of wood. So we're going to lay down the rest of the bits of wood. We're going to work out where the rudder pedals are, and we're going to build up all the rest of the flight sim around it. But it's looking fairly good, to be honest. I'm half impressed. Squeaky squeak squeak. I have no idea what that job is like now. Oh good. It was right underneath me all of a sudden. Isn't that a kinky dinky dink? Well, now we've got the base sorted. We've got aluminium extrusions. I don't know if you've ever seen these. These are 40 by 80, so 40mm one way and then 80mm the other way, I think. However, this is the base for the Moser AB9, and not one of these holes, even though there is many holes, except from that one, that one there. That one kind of lines up, but none of the other holes line up for this, which is a bit strange actually, because you would have thought, since Moser have came from sim racing rigs, you would have thought, since the majority of sim racing rigs use aluminium extrusions, I think they also use this 40 by 80, or they might use 45 by 90 or what, I don't know. So we're going to drill some more holes. We've got our trusty bench fit and drill, press drill, whatever you want to call it, and I've lined up most of the markings of where we actually need to drill. So what we're going to do is we're going to punch the holes, get them all lined up, ready, drill the holes, add them to the aluminium extrusions, then we can make up the aluminium extrusions into the sim rig, and we'll be able to move the joystick around from left, front, up, down, all that good stuff. Now we're going to get to one of the scariest parts of this whole entire build. We've got this aluminium extrusion, and we've mounted the base plate for the Moser force feedback joystick. We've cut out this so you can actually still get to the bolts behind it, because it's a bit of a pain to actually fit. and we've then got to cut this at the right length so that it's at the correct position for the joystick. And the reason why we've done this is we're going to have some adjustability depending on if we want the joystick extension or if we're going to have it low, high, wherever we want. So we're going to measure that out, we're going to cut it, we're going to do a test cut with another bit of aluminium because we've never actually cut aluminium before, and then we'll get this mounted up, put it on the floor, try and work out the correct placement of the joystick, and it should be fine. So we've learned a few things. One thing is that Ryobi batteries are not as fast to charge as Milwaukee batteries, and we've also learned that I have no idea what we're learning, to be honest, but we're going to learn how to actually cut this aluminium strip. So we've got some paraffin, because apparently that helps while you're actually cutting it, as like a lubrication, and we're gonna cut it on a wood saw, apparently, because apparently that works. So that's the factory cut, and then there's the cut that we've just done. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. Here's another part of the plan. That is then going to mount onto that using these parts here, and I think that should be fairly stable for what we're doing. Obviously we'll have to work out closer to the time of building it whether or not it's actually going to take the force feedback forces that are on it, but it looks hefty enough. I don't know if this will be the weak point or if it will be the rail that will be the weak point. So that's most of the base sorted, except from the seat bolts, because they've taken a week and a half, but they've arrived today, so we're going to be getting back to that, bolting the seat down. Now we're going to tackle the rudder pedals, and I want the rudder pedals to be adjustable, and I've never seen any good ways online of making them adjustable. People normally go down and they move the rudder pedals by hand into the position that they want. I don't particularly want to do that. So you'll see a montage of me making this, but I've got a pair of seat rails, and that allows this bit and that bit to slide. Now you're thinking, well, you've got to actually slide them yourself. No, because I'm going to put a spring, which is on order, and we're going to have a cable that goes through here and pulls that up, and that's going to be mounted in the simulator somewhere, so that when you want, you just you push on the rudder pedals on both feet, you then take our weight off it, pull the handle, it will then allow it to spring back forwards, and you just push it to the right height, release the cable, and this will come down, locking these into place. So I've made up this template, and now, because this is chipboard, not particularly the best, we're going to use metal. So you're going to see me making this and drawing it out. So it's all drew out there of how we actually got the bolt holes to align. This is the test piece. Then we're going to put this onto a metal piece that we've got, which is here, and then it's going to be a bit sturdier. It's not going to crack, it's not going to fail, so it should be alright. I'll also just dox myself. You filthy animals are going to come round to my house. Ah, dox yourself again. I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night, murdered. Please don't, at least give us a warning before you do. And that's why you wear steel toe cap boots. There we are. Well, that was a long process, but as you see now, this is basically complete. This will, as I said, allow you to push the rudder pedals backwards and forwards without having to go down, and it locks into place. It's reliable, it's easy to make, relatively, and it's so cheap. I mean, the metal was £40, the rails were free because I did someone a favour and got some free seat rails, and I am going to add a bit of plywood to the bottom just for a bit of rigidity to it, so that's why I've got these extra long bolts. So it should be another 12mm thicker, and yeah, I can then mount the rudder pedals on top, and it will give me a perfect way to actually adjust the rudder pedals. So we'll go off, we're going to fit these, and we'll go from there. We get to the last stages of doing this mount for the rudder pedals. Now, to stiffen it up, I said that we were going to get some 12mm plyboard. B&Q didn't have any, so we're using 18mm. Our measurements are still within spec for the bolts. What we're going to do is we're going to use this as a template, this bit of metal, and we're going to drill through into these. Then we're going to line it all up and mount it all together, and then the base should be sorted as far as before we actually get the rudder pedals. So here we have it. We've got this base made, and the good thing is, even if you're not a flight sim enthusiast, you can actually build this for your not your rudder pedals. You can build this for your driving pedals for any kind of sim, and it's actually not too hard to make, but it's really rigid, strong. It's mechanically reliable because it's got to be for a car. All the engineering work has been done for you. We're going to add a spring to it, as I said in the earlier part of this video, and it should be pretty good. It's a bit bulky and weighty, but we actually want a bit of bulk and weight for it, because the more weight that we can have, the less idea of any flex. And I can tell you, it's solid. It actually hurt my hand. Yeah, completely solid. Works a treat. So we'll put it in, get it all lined up, and then after that we shall look at greasing it all up and making sure it's all running as smoothly as possible, but even then it's smooth. So we'll go and do that. We've almost got this sorted now. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get this bit here, because this leg is slightly longer, so we've measured out exactly the same length to this leg. We're going to cut this, and we've also, because we're over engineering stuff, we've got this bit of flat bar, and we're going to put this in line with both rails. So at the bottom it will have the rails underneath, and it'll be very secure, which is what we like. So let's get to measuring it. Now we're on to the second part of bolting the rudder pedal adjusters down, and we've got these plates that you've seen us make. What we're going to do next is I've actually drilled some holes in that are in the wood as well. The reason why we've got these is these are going to go underneath the wood, and they're going to be spreader plates, and they're going to bolt in like that. But we need some kind of way of bolting it to the wood, because as soon as obviously you disconnect the rudder pedal assembly, then this thing's just going to drop, and we need something that's going to hold it actually into the wood to stop that dropping. So we've got these two little holes. We're going to use some M4 riv nuts, and we're going to bolt it with a countersunk screw just to keep everything in place. So we're going to put the riv nuts in now, and you can watch us do it. Right, so that's the rudder pedal assembly all in. As you can see, solid. You can and give it a good kick in. We've got the little release handle here, which isn't good. By the way, if you're going to buy one, don't buy one with the sleeved, because it actually hasn't got enough pulling force, so I've ordered a stainless steel one, so that was a waste of 10 quid. So basically you pull this, still kind of works, and then there's going to be a spring under there that's going to allow it to pull forward, and you push it back to wherever you want to, and then once you release that, then you can actually lock the rudder pedals into position, so you don't have to reach down and grab them. So you've seen what we've done with the rudder pedals so far, and the seat and the base. Now it's onto the joystick of mounting it onto the base, and you've seen how we've actually made the joystick assembly up. We're going to use these aluminium extrusions again for the sliders, so it can slide forward and backwards. And basically with it, we're not going to have as much adjustability towards the rudder pedals because it's kind of at its most extreme anyways. We're going to have a lot more adjustability towards the rear. Make a joke out of that. So basically we're going to cut this at 50 mils. We're going to have about 15 mils to the front, and or 15 to 20 mils at the front, and then we're going to have about 30 to 35 mil at the back, and that will allow us to adjust it further towards the rear of the cockpit and small amounts to the front. But realistically the whole thing's never really going to move except from getting changed over to the center position, because realistically you can move the seat and you can move the rudder pedals. So the idea of having to move the joystick on a regular occurrence it's probably going to be quite slim. However, we still want the ability to do it because we want this whole flight sim to be as adjustable as possible, with also being as rigid as possible. So we're going to cut this at 50 mil from this end, so it's going to be basically in half, and we'll get it mounted up, and yeah, that should be all sorted. So now that we've got this bit cut out, we're then going to drill 2 holes, and we're going to use 1.5 inch thread bolts and spreader plates underneath it to bolt it all down to the baseboard. So we're going to drill the holes now. We want to get them as central as possible because they've got to go through 2 stages of this, straight through the top and straight through the bottom, and then it should be secure. So we're going to use our pillar drill for this. So now we've came to the end of our video. We've actually sorted a lot of the flight sim out. So we've got the rudder pedals. Obviously they're going to be the wing or wing control rudder pedals when they come out, the force feedback ones, but we're improvising with the Cytec ones at the minute. We've got the joystick here. We are going to add another mount to it to actually increase the rigidity, because I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's a little bit wobbly, but as soon as I put any kind of pressure on this part there, it does stiffen up a lot. and obviously the seat's mounted, which looks good. So yeah, this is a good starting point for our setup. Then we're gonna, on our next episode, we're gonna have the 737 screen and main instrument panel that we're creating, and it's looking really good. So I want you to join us on our next video where we'll be exploring the main instrument panel, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video of DIY Flight Sim.